Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vandy. Back into the Card Fight Vanguard deck profiles. We can join the tech, subscribe, and start, shall we? Small note. For some reason, and I'm saying this now just because I can and I will. I thought it was Thursday today. Apparently it's Wednesday, so like all those videos I just rushed out today. Right now it's like 1:40 p.m. exactly. Quite literally, I recorded like 4 different videos today, counting this one. Normally I only do 2, so because I thought I was behind, but apparently I'm ahead now, so I could just afford not to work tomorrow. So hell yeah! But anyways, let's go ahead and get this deck profile started on Keter Sanctuary for Graham Grace, because Graham Grace finally got revealed, and honestly his effect is kind of cool. Though I must say I am more biased towards Fafnir, because Fafnir fucking funny. So well, let's go ahead and read over Graham Grace, and then you can kind of see why this deck is good and why it has like that 50-50 chance, because it's Keter, and we have so many options. So first up we have our starter, and we can go Brave. Grade 0 boost 5k shield, 6k base, auto road applying for 1 second, draw a card. Standard starter, not so much about it, it's just a free draw. This is the deck though where the starter is specifically required to be Wingull, and I'm saying this because Keter in its way has like the most generic ride line ever, except the reason why this ride line is like this is because I want to guarantee my grade 2 of the ride line has its effect to go off. And since Graham Grace doesn't have a ride line of its own yet, I decided to mix in the Blaster Blade ride line, and specifically the Blaster Blade ride line. I mean, Blaster Blade turning into Blaster Dark, of course, but, you know, so Wingull Brave is required here, but honestly, you don't really need Wingull Brave as your starter. You could pick Full Bow if you were running, like, the Blaster Javelin side of the thing. So, yeah, really any starter, but most likely going to be the Wingull Brave or Full Bow, depending on your build. And we have Over Trigger and Light Dragon Deity of Honors, Armor T Noah. Grade 0 boost 50k shield, 5k power. Over Trigger, you may only want to over trigger your deck. Reveals a trigger with that card, draw a card, choose one of your 6 plus for the turn. And if you revealed it during drive check, activate its additional effect, which is until end of turn, you also perform drive check for your rear guard battles. Okay, that does some terrifying shit in this deck when you get going, because that's a possibility of 6 drives. And no, sorry, 8 drives. So somehow more dangerous than Bastion, and that's funny to have happen. And it's just like, all around really good because of those drives checks. I mean, it's rarely going to happen, and for me, it rarely happens even more. But, you know, having that possibility is always there, and it always makes your opponent fear that, fuck, I'm screwed if the over gets sacked. And the 1 million all around is just nice to have too. So, obviously, one of Armor T Noah, you can go Abari, but, like, why go Abari when you have drive check galore over here? I mean, we all know how it went down in the anime when Aichi did it to that one pirate girl, and Aichi one-shot her ass. So, yeah, clearly let's go the Aichi route. And then we have our normal triggers. First up, we have 3 copies of Variation Rigger Dragon, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power. He's not the only crit, because we also run 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon, who's also grade 0, 15k shield, 4k power. Critical trigger, auto rare thing about a boosty. You may put it soul, choose one music up to 2 for the turn. Okay, you don't really run it for the 2k, you run it just to get soul, because very rarely, but on possible occasions, you might run into a soul problem, so having this there to help you with that said soul problem is really nice. So I like running it at a 4 of, along with obviously this at a 3 of. So we have 7 crits coming down, which puts on a lot of pressure with your Vanguard, especially when you realize that since Graham Grace activates for the Persona rides on both sides of the, or like for your back row as well, your back row is going to be hitting for pretty big numbers. And then not to mention the fact that if you do end up having the extra crits, even if the Vanguard gets blocked, your rear guards that are swinging for a fuck ton of numbers, they have extra criticals on them, making them far more dangerous. So I like running the 7 crits. I don't really need draws because this is freaking gold / royal / angel feather built together, and these are like the most rear guard spammy decks out of all of like Keter Sanctuary. So obviously we run 4 of 7 crits in total, and I don't worry about draws because we also run 4 of Bard of Heavenly Song Outpack. Basically, once this deck gets going, it's a truck. It's a truck, you ain't stopping it, you're just getting ran over by it, and if you're somehow alive, the truck will come back and run you over again, in reverse, and then it will continue to run you over till you fucking die. So grade 0 boost 15k shield, 4k power, front trigger, continues guard talk, opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 grades plus 5k shield, so you know, 20k shield front's nice to have if you're really on the back foot for defenses, because you're me and all of your fucking Graham Graces end up in your hand and you become Bastion during the entire game, even though you only run 11 grade 3s, then Outpeck being a 20k shield will come and help you, especially when your hand is mostly unguardable because the grade 3s fucking show up. If you can't tell, I'm trying to reverse psychology in my deck because it's worked in my other deck profile, so I'm trying to do it here and see if it works. Anyways, 4 of Outpeck, I like the front. It's good, adds numbers, 20k shield, which actually fucking helps, and it's just good. So 4 of that. And then 4 of our Recuperate Angel. So grade 0 boosting K shield, 5k power, just a standard heal. We all know why I don't like the effect heals at this point. If you don't know why I don't like the effect heals, it's just because like they're a little too situational. Yeah, because of what Bushy's been doing, they have increased the chances of the standing effect heal going off, but like even then, in my opinion, it's like, nah. It's just like you don't need them, especially because those are scenarios where even if you are playing against those decks that pull off the effect heals, those effect heals won't really guarantee you the win. In fact, it kind of might kill you faster depending on like how they maneuver their plays. So I prefer the normal heals. They're consistent. They don't kill me if it's in the wrong scenario, and I just have more faith in them. So yeah, for the regular heal, if you want to run the effect heals, go ahead, but I'd rather run the normal heal. And then we have our grade 1s. First, we have 4 copies of Paladinium Zeal Dragon. Okay, for some reason, he doesn't show up as often as he does in Youthberg. In fact, I think this is why I have so many grade 3s in my hand, because he never shows up unless I'm playing Youthberg. Anyways, grade 1 boost, 0 shows, is K base, continuous Sentinel. You may only have 4 copies of this thing in the deck, and the auto is put on guard circle, choose one move to get a pay down in battle, and if your hand is true or more cards, a card from hand, discard it. Standard PG, not special about it. Basically, that means when this and only one of the cards in your hand, when you place it on guard circle, you don't have to discard. And all around, that's a pretty good ability, because that means you can be nearly as aggressive as you want, and then this won't kill you because you can just quickly throw it down while you have no hand cards, and then it just protects you from death. And all around, that's helpful. I like having a PG that can do that. Again, though, my issue is I don't have hand problems. I have getting units that could fucking guard into my hand problems. Like, if the scenario is this. I'm tempted to run Pride to Protect because it keeps happening, but at the same time, if I run it, the deck's just going to do a 180 and then not show any grade 3s, and then I ran Pride to Protect for nothing. So, 4 of Paladinium Zeal. He's good. The defensive ability is amazing, being able to nullify any attack even if I have nothing else in my hand. Just the annoying downside is I will never not have anything in my hand because all the grade 3s like to flock to it, and there's no point in calling all of them. So 4 of Paladinium Zeal, good grade 1. Just I can't use him properly because the deck refuses to let me. 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Diffuser Angel. Since he was such a big playmaker in my Youthberg deck back when it was set 5, I decided to give it another try. So, grade 1 boost 5k shield, AK base, autos place it on rear, put a card from your hand to soul, choose a Vanguard, and this unit gets +5 for a turn. I'll go around pretty decent because most of the time Graham Grace is swinging without a boost, and even though 18 doesn't really guarantee it's fine, because even if it is 18, if they sack a trigger, the attack gets shut down. But it at least, makes it harder for them to guard Graham Grace, because normally like a 15 would be a 1 to pass. That immediately makes it at least a 2 to pass now. Or sorry, it'd be a 2 to pass normally with the 15, but then now it's a 1 to pass. And Diffuser Angel also gives getting +5 is all around really helpful. And if for some reason you called him via Graham Grace's ability to the back center, well, he's a 23k swinger now. So around, I like Diffuser Angel a lot. He's definitely one of my favorite grade 1s. Gets me the soul, gets me 5k. What's not to like about him? 4, especially because this deck might have a soul problem depending on the way we go. Oh yeah, speaking of which, this deck is slightly different than the one I had when I fought on the channel with, and I have not tested this out because I built it this morning. All I'm going to say is this. If my theory is correct, and most of the time it is on this deck is going to be more consistent than the other one and win more. If I'm wrong, well then again, I've also only put that one up against Fafnir, so I don't feel like it's its fault. But also, if I'm wrong, so be it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work. So 4 of Diffuser. Then we have 4 copies of Painkiller Angel. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear at the end of battle, boosted soul boss, when retire this unit, draw a card. Okay, this in my opinion is like the calling card of how you can tell this isn't a deck I've used yet, because I hate Painkiller. I know I've said it like very slightly to the point where unless you know what videos I'm referring to, you're not going to understand the reason I hate Painkiller, because I dropped hints ever so slightly in different words, and I never called it by name, but I did refer to it as Painkiller more or less. So, Painkiller is not that her ability is, well, okay, no, it's just her ability. I've never had a bad experience with her. I've never had a good experience with her. I've just had enough of experience with her, but that's not why I hate her. I just don't like her skill. I feel like her skill was way too meh for being a double rare. Like, Soul Blast 1, kill herself, draw 1? I don't know, I just hated that so much. Like, it was just kill yourself, draw a card, cool. Soul Boss wanted to kill yourself? No, not worth it in my opinion. But, I don't know, like, I'm willing to give Painkiller a try, just because, like, why not? Again, this is the card I haven't tested out yet, but supposedly she'll end up giving me more hand cards, and then hopefully that won't translate to draw more grade 3s. Again, I say, might just be completely wrong on this fact, but whatever, I have faith in Painkiller for once, and I'm really hoping she pays out, because she should, and she will hopefully act as a grade 1 on rear. So, 4 of Painkiller. I like the draw. Soul Blast 1 isn't really that bad. 4 of. Then we have our last grade 1, and that's the Ride deck grade 1 of Little Sage Merit. Okay, So this is where the starter differences happen. So I saw someone else use Fafnir against Grahamgrace. First up, somehow Grahamgrace won, which is the surprising part to me because Fafnir won my games that way. But anyways, someone else was using Blaster Javelin as a ride line card, and I can see that. But I just don't like using Blaster Javelin because I know half the time when I use him, I see triggers from his skill, and I don't like losing triggers. So I'd rather just, and I know they do it because it's to get soul or like to keep soul with Wing All Brave. But I would rather just call the soul so I can get a guaranteed call that isn't a trigger instead of just like losing my special thing, especially because if I call Wingo Brave, it comes as stand on like Javelin or it comes as rest. So anyways, Marin, grade 1 boost by Kashoda K base, auto sort upon by Blast, a grade 2 with Blaster in its card name, whether it's Blaster Blade, Blaster Dark, fuck it, Blaster Javelin if you for some reason ran it in here. Look at top 7, choose up to 1 grade 2 card with Blaster in its card name, reveal it, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck. If you don't reveal a card, to card with Wingo Brave in its card name from your soul, call it to rear guard. Okay, I'm telling you this right now, there's no card in this main deck that has Blaster in its card name. I mean, like, if you count the Ride deck, then yes, but the only card in this deck that has Blaster in its card name is Blaster Dark, and it's a one of in the Ride deck. So, yeah, you basically, that is a Ride Blaster Dark, shuffle your deck, call Wingo Brave from your soul. That's all it is. And you do it because it's a free call, and it's a guaranteed, I mean, even if you don't want to use Blaster Dark, you at least get a free rear guard that's not rested. And then use rear guard during your turn if you have 3 or more units, it gets +2. Okay, that will never go out because there's no way to Soul Blast this out. I mean, well, there are ways to Soul Blast it out, but there's no way to, like, call it back to board, so sadly, you're just stuck with this, but A, it's a nice grade 1 to have. I like it having for consistency. I can see the reasons why you want to run Blaster Javelin over Marin, and I can see reasons you want to run Marin over Blaster Javelin. I prefer the consistency of the call and the fact that I'm not losing a trigger out of it, guaranteed. But I can see other people who are doing Blaster Javelin because technically you get a stronger unit, and if you choose not to use Blaster Dark in the scenarios, then technically Blaster Javelin would be better. But I like going Marin, so one of Marin in the Ride deck, well, honestly, this is interchangeable between the two. Then we have our grade 2s. 4 of Impacting Knight, Maladay. Grade 2 in FIK shield, 10k base, auto rear when this unit attack hits a vanguard, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, send it to bottom. Okay, I like this skill. Here's why. No one in their right mind will ever take a vanguard. I think that is like the common theme that I've seen for Overdress. From when I watch other people play, they will guard the vanguard with their life. They will, to my knowledge, at least how I played, and at least how I've seen other people play, before Overdress was like that, I rarely saw people guard the Vanguard with their life. And I specify with their life because people would still guard the Vanguard, obviously, but like I feel like people now guard Vanguards a lot more seriously in Overdress. And maybe part of the overs, I have no idea. But Malady over here is really nice because now the Vanguard's a block target. One of our main grade 3s is a block target, and now this thing is a block target. So they have to drop 3 cards not to get me a plus in any way, shape, or form. So Melody, you know, setting a rear guard to bottom is nice. He does it for free. He gets rid of some pesky-ass unit, and the cards that just say they can't be retired, but they can be chosen by effects, fuck you. So for Maladio, he's just good. I'd like to send bottom. Also, he's an angel theme, which I realized after I put him in. Then we have 4 copies of Night Revening Flash Karabay. 8k card, if I get another upgrade, I'm teching him out immediately. Great Turns FIK Shield, 10k base, auto is placed on rear, card boss 1 soul boss, 1 look at top 3, choose a card from among them, reveal it, call it to rear guard. If it is a grade 2 or less unit card, and if it's not, it goes to your hand. Shuffle your deck. Okay. It's not bad. The cost isn't the problem. It's not. The top 3 isn't the problem. The issue is his ass never shows up. Or when he does, he's the worst card in my hand and I have to drop him. Because I either want Blaster Dark turn, or I have like all the perfect setup for attacks, and he's the only one there that's like a wild card. So, I don't like Caribre. I like his sword. I like his little cape thing. I hate him himself. I don't hate his skill. He just either shows up at the wrong times, or he just doesn't show up, period. If I'm teching someone out with support for another card, it's him, because he's not gonna be, like, he's proven to me that he's not here for this deck. The times that I can use him, he's done something useful, but it's really, like, rare that he actually does something useful. Even if it's not this version of the deck, the other version of it, he rarely showed up. So, 4 of Caribre, praying that he proves me wrong. Probably not, but if Bastion changes consistency off of 2 cards, even though one of those has no effect on the consistency, although one should only boost the consistency, if anything, I'm going to have faith that putting in Painkiller and this thing are going to fix my consistency too. 4 of Caribe, please show up. Yeah, also you can use his skill to call himself and then use his skill to call himself again because, you know, his doesn't have to be placed for hand. Then we have our last grade 2, the grade 2 of the ride deck, and that is, of course, Blaster Dark. Grade 2 and set 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when it's placed on van or rear. Counter boss 1, retire another rear guard. Choose opponent's rear guard murder, and this unit gets to drag for the turn. All around, really nice, easy skill to use, and then continues rear guard during your turn. If you retire something, gets +5. Okay, never going to happen, because even if you soul boss it out, there's no way to call it to board. But being able just to get that extra drive is honestly really nice, and even kill your opponent's rear guard. There are those occasions where you can't use them because maybe you sack the over, or maybe you just don't want to use it because you do have Blaster Javelin as your grade 1, and you're like, oh, well, I want to use the card that I called instead. Then in that case, I see you perfectly. I can see reason to. I remember one game I did it, and I regret none of that decision. So, yeah, one of Blaster Dark in the ride deck. He's good. There are times where you don't want to use a skill. Most of the time you will use a skill, but getting the extra drive, all around really nice. Too bad he's not like V Blaster Dark, where every time I use a skill, I get double crits. So, one of in the ride deck of Blaster Dark. Then we have our grade 3s. First up, we have 3 copies of Knight of Rotation Gwendolyn, another new card. I changed one card every grade now. Grade 3 turns a Persona, 13k base, continues rear guard during the battle she attacked. Even Persona rolled this turn, she gets +5, and when your opponent would call cards from hidden guard circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. Okay, this is one of the ones I'm weary about, because, like, I know there are those times, like, from Thegria, there was that card I put in there that only goes off if you Persona Ride. I thought it wasn't going to be a problem because you're going to Persona Ride often. Fuck me. Because that was the dumbest decision I've ever thought of. Because, one, I would either get my Persona Ride, but it would die before I could Persona Ride, or, because maybe I saved it in a hand for Guardian Power and I had to drop it, or like maybe they just nuked it up when it was on rear, or I didn't have Persona Rides and I saw all of them. That did happen once where I had all the copies, but I didn't have any of the Persona Rides because all of them got damage checked. So yeah, Gwendolyn, kind of weary about her, but then again, also straight up every game I see all my 4 Graham Graces. There was one game where one of them got damage checked and the other ones went to my hand immediately. So I don't have fear about missing Persona Rides. My fear is just, can I last long enough to get the Persona Rides off? Her skill, giving that 18k and guarantee 28 basically, followed by the forcing of drop 2 cards. It's good. Force out more numbers, force out more cards on one rear guard. I like it a lot. It's a good grade 3. Just really hoping that this doesn't change the consistency of how often I draw my Persona Rides. 3 of Gwendolyn. Please don't change that part of my consistency. Then we have 4 copies of Knight of War Damage, Fusado, grade 3 turn Persona, 13k base. This boy who I have not seen in fucking ages, I remember distinctly that set 1, Fusado, hands down, 4 of card. Set 2, I barely remember people running him. I don't remember if people did or not. I have flashbacks of me running him, but that's pretty much it. Set 3, who's Fusado again? Set 4, what's a Fusado? Set 5, where am I? Set 6. What is a card? Set 7. Oh, wait, Fusado's a thing. Yeah, never mind. Okay, let's get Fusado. Yeah, that's Fusado's lifespan, basically. From set 1 and 2 to being remotely relevant to set 7, where he is relevant again, and everything in between doesn't exist. So, continues rear guard. This unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So, cool, you know, basically has resist. So, that's great. They can't lock it. They can't retire it. They can't bounce it to bottom, top, bounce it to hand, send it to damage. I mean, they can call over it, but that's pretty much it. And then auto rear, when this attack hits into anything, whether it's van or rear, counter charge 1, soul charge 1. Great, you can combo it with the Vanguard to basically make its cost free and get a free draw out of it and a extra rear guard swing, and just having a big number in general, especially because it doesn't have to hit a Vanguard, so you can just pump its numbers to Fusado, swing with Fusado to a rear guard, and then get that guaranteed counter charge soul charge, because the only way your opponent's probably going to block is if they're willing to drop down a PG for it. All around, Fusado's amazing in my opinion. He does great work for this deck, gets the multi-attack, adds pressure for on hits. What's not to like about him? 4 of. Then we have our last card in the deck, and it's our main grade 3. 3 copies in the main deck, 1 copy in the ride deck of the boy, the lad, the myth, the legend, the Chad, Sword, Saint, Knight, Dragon, Graham Grace, or as I like to call it, knockoff Gargantua Dragon, and so does the rest of the fandom. So, continuous Vanguard, you Persona Rides also increase the power of your back row units. And my response to this, what Thegria should have been. Just saying. Because Thegria had a lot of cards based off Persona, or not a lot, but like, it seems like their gimmick was based off Persona writing. I don't understand why they didn't just like give power to back row, but whatever. Especially because like their set order, in my opinion, if we compare the set order to this, I think this is just better, because the set order gives plus 15 and an extra draw. Graham Grace, plus 20 to columns. So that's good inherently. And then also, act Vanguard once per turn, counter boss 1, soul boss 1, draw a card, choose a card from your hand, and call it to back row, rear guard, center, and until end of turn, that unit can attack from back row and it gets plus 10. So essentially, counter boss 1, soul boss 1, draw, call Fusado, give plus 10, be on a Persona Ride, 33k to Vanguard or Rearguard. If the attack hits, countercharge 1, soul charge 1. If it doesn't hit, they're dropping 2 cards for this. So, all around, really nice just for that pressure alone. And then the best part about a skill is Auto Van. At the end of the battle, your back or rearguard at center attack, put that unit soul draw a card. Okay. Minuses and pluses to that. 1, that is a free draw. That is a flat-out free draw. Downside is, that is a free draw. You want to know how that means? Because that doesn't have a cost. And if you say, put that unit to soul as a cost, no, it is not. That is its ability. That is a part of the skill, not a cost. Meaning that if your unit attacks, you have to put it to soul. It's not a May clause, unlike the call skill. Wait, sorry, not the call skill is not a May clause. Who's the card I just read that was the May skill? I completely forgot. But basically, that is a force send the unit to soul and draw. Meaning that if you are close to decking out, that skill might be the reason you lose. Doubtful, but still. So always be careful with that, because there are going to be those occasions where your opponent might survive, and that might be the reason you die, because you're forced to draw a card. But otherwise, good skill, gets the numbers, gets extra rear guards, gets fucking big-ass columns, and gets free draws with extra soul charge. All around, I like Grand Grace a lot. I think he's amazing. He's definitely hasn't proven as consistent as Fafnir, but if this build is anything to assume off of my Persona Rider capabilities, yeah, I'm assuming this deck's going to go well. All I know is this: if I was allowed to Persona Ride, I would probably win. I just haven't been able to Persona Ride against Fafnir. So yeah, 3 of Grand Grace on the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, it's fun to play. I like calling rear guards. I like that I accidentally made it an angel theme. Even if it's not this deck, I know just Grand Grace in general is fun to play. Getting the numbers, getting the big-ass columns, even though I haven't been able to fucking Persona Ride yet. Basically, getting to do the first grade 3 turn is always fun to me. Even if I don't get everything I need, getting to do first grade 3 turn is fun, and that one time I got to see someone else, Grand Grace Persona Ride me, that was terrifyingly fun, because they were swinging for like 30s, 38, 28, like some shenanigans shit like that, so all around, I like Grand Grace a lot. I think he's amazing. I can't wait to try out this version of the deck, and I really hope this does not fuck me over. So I'm ending here. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up, my Vanguard. Your Vanguards. Eh.